stop everything because the Bridgerton Season 4 Part 2 trailer just changed absolutely everything we thought we knew. Sophie's secret is finally on the edge of being exposed. Benedict is standing at the crossroads of love and honor, and one shocking twist is about to flip the entire ton upside down. If you believed Part 1 was emotional, Part 2 is coming for your heart in ways you are not ready for. Because this is not just a love story anymore. This is a battle for truth, identity, and redemption. And by the end of this breakdown, you are going to see Benedict and Sophie in a completely different light. Now let's begin with the moment that sets the tone for everything that follows, the emotional fallout between Benedict and Sophie. The trailer wastes no time reminding us that their love story is hanging by a thread. We see the distance between them immediately. It is not loud, it is not dramatic in an obvious way, it is quiet, tense, and painful, and somehow that makes it even worse. The air between them feels heavy, like something fragile has already shattered and neither of them knows how to fix it. Benedict looks like a man who is realizing too late what he has done. His expression is full of regret, but also confusion. He truly believed he was offering Sophie the only possible future they could have together. In his mind, he was trying to protect her, trying to keep her close, trying to find a way around the brutal rules of society that say a Bridgerton cannot marry a servant. But what he failed to understand is that love without respect is not love at all. Sophie, on the other hand, looks completely heartbroken. And not just because of what Benedict offered her. She is heartbroken because she thought he was different. She believed he saw her, truly saw her, beyond her position, beyond her clothes, beyond the role she plays in that household. When she looks at him now, you can see the realization settling in. Maybe he is not as different as she hoped. Maybe even the man she loves still sees her as someone beneath him. And this is where the emotional weight of the trailer becomes almost unbearable. Sophie is not angry in a dramatic way. She is disappointed, and that kind of disappointment cuts deeper than any scream ever could. She carries herself with dignity, but you can feel the pain behind every word she speaks. For someone who has spent her entire life being told she is less than, this moment feels like confirmation of her worst fears. What makes this even more tragic is that we, as the audience, know something Benedict does not. Sophie is not just a servant. She is the daughter of the Earl of Penwood. She has noble blood. She has a rightful inheritance. She has a name that should command respect. But because of the lies built around her life, she has been forced to live in the shadows of her own identity. And Benedict, without realizing it, just reinforced the lie she has been fighting her whole life. The trailer hints that this secret is no longer safe. There are subtle details that suggest the truth is beginning to surface. A meaningful glance, a piece of jewelry that lingers in focus just a second too long, a whisper that feels loaded with information. These are not random moments, they are clues, and they are building towards something explosive. At the same time, Benedict's internal struggle becomes clearer than ever. He is torn between the world he was born into and the love he cannot deny. The rules of the ton have shaped him his entire life. Duty, reputation, expectation, these are not small things in Bridgerton, they define everything. And yet, when he looks at Sophie, you can see those rules starting to crumble. The trailer shows us a Benedict who is beginning to question the very system he once accepted without hesitation. His posture changes, his voice carries urgency, there is a determination growing inside him that was not there before. And this is the beginning of his redemption arc. Because redemption does not start with grand gestures. It starts with realization, with the painful understanding that you have hurt the person you love most. But here is the real tension. Will that realization come too late? Because while Benedict is wrestling with his conscience, forces are moving around them. Secrets are tightening, schemes are unfolding quietly in the background. Sophie's position in that household is becoming more dangerous by the day. And if her true identity is revealed in the wrong way, it will not just be scandalous, it will be catastrophic. The first section of this trailer makes one thing painfully clear. This is no longer just about whether Benedict and Sophie will end up together. It is about whether they can survive the truth. Sophie's secret has the power to destroy reputations, expose lies, and shift the balance of power within the ton. And Benedict's redemption will require more than regret, it will require courage. Now let's talk about the danger closing in around Sophie, because if Section 1 was about heartbreak, Section 2 is about threat. The trailer makes it painfully clear that Sophie is no longer just emotionally vulnerable. She is in real danger. And at the center of that danger stands Lady Araminta, calm, calculated, and absolutely ruthless. Every glimpse we get of her in this trailer feels intentional. Her expressions are controlled, almost pleasant on the surface, but there is something cold underneath. She moves like someone who believes she has already won, and that is what makes her so terrifying. She is not acting out of chaos. She is executing a plan. Her goal has always been simple: secure power through marriage, and Benedict Bridgerton is the perfect prize. Wealthy, respected, from one of the most admired families in the ton. If one of her daughters marries him, Lady Araminta's position becomes untouchable. But Sophie is the one obstacle she cannot tolerate. Not because Sophie has status, not because Sophie has power, but because Sophie has Benedict's heart. The trailer suggests that Lady Araminta has been watching everything, observing the tension between Benedict and Sophie, noticing the looks they think no one else sees. And instead of confronting it openly, she chooses something far more destructive. She decides to erase Sophie completely. One of the most shocking hints in the trailer is the accusation of theft. We see Sophie surrounded, frightened, clearly overwhelmed as fingers point in her direction. The shift in atmosphere is immediate. What was once quiet tension turns into public humiliation. And standing there, almost satisfied, is Lady Araminta. This is not a random accusation. This feels strategic. A servant accused of stealing from a noble household fits perfectly into the narrative Lady Araminta has carefully built. She has spent years convincing Sophie that she is nothing, that she has no claim to respect, no right to speak up. Now she is convincing everyone else of the same thing, and the brilliance of this cruel plan is how believable it is to society. The ton is built on hierarchy, on assumptions, on believing that those with titles are honest and those without are disposable. So when Sophie is accused, most people will not question it. They will accept it as truth because it fits their expectations. The trailer gives us a devastating glimpse of Sophie in confinement, and the emotional impact of that moment is overwhelming. She looks smaller somehow, like the world has closed in around her. And what hurts the most is not just the fear in her eyes, it is the exhaustion. This is someone who has been fighting quietly her entire life, fighting to hold on to her dignity, fighting to believe she deserves love. And now she is being crushed under a lie she cannot easily escape. But here is where the tension truly rises. Because while Sophie is isolated, Benedict is unraveling. We see flashes of him searching, demanding answers, clearly panicked. The regret we saw earlier has transformed into urgency. This is no longer about pride or social rules. This is about loss, real loss. And for the first time, Benedict looks like a man who understands the cost of hesitation. He starts asking questions that challenge the very foundation of his world. Why was Sophie accused so quickly? Why does the story not add up? Why does Lady Araminta seem so composed while everything is falling apart? You can see the suspicion forming in his mind. And once that suspicion takes root, there is no turning back. This is where his redemption begins to take shape in a powerful way. Because loving Sophie privately is one thing, defending her publicly is another. To stand up for her now would mean risking scandal. It would mean challenging a noblewoman. It would mean placing his own family's reputation in danger. And the trailer makes it clear that this choice is coming fast. At the same time, we start to feel that Sophie's secret is closer to the surface than ever before. There are subtle hints that something connected to her past is about to resurface. Something tangible. Something undeniable. And Lady Araminta, despite all her planning, looks just slightly uneasy in a few quick flashes, almost as if she knows there is one loose thread she cannot control. Section 2 builds this overwhelming sense that everything is tightening, the walls are closing in on Sophie, the lies are stacking higher, the risk is growing, and Benedict is standing right in the center of it all, forced to decide whether he will remain a passive observer shaped by society or become the man who challenges it. Now this is where everything shifts, because Section 3 of the trailer hints at the moment the truth finally begins to rise, and it is more powerful than anyone expected. The chaos, the accusation, the heartbreak, it all starts leading toward one central revelation. Sophie is not who the Ton believes she is, and once that secret begins to unravel, the balance of power completely changes. The trailer gives us subtle but unmistakable clues that the key to everything lies in something small yet deeply meaningful: the necklace Sophie has worn all season. It has always been there, resting quietly against her skin, never explained in full detail, but clearly important. And now the camera lingers on it with purpose. That is not accidental. In a show like Bridgerton, nothing is accidental. This necklace is more than jewelry. It is proof, it is legacy, it is identity. We see quick flashes of someone examining it closely, studying its design, its insignia, its craftsmanship. And in those brief seconds, you can feel the shift happening. Because if this necklace can be traced back to the Earl of Penwood, if it can be connected to Sophie's father, then everything Lady Araminta has built her lies upon begins to crumble. And imagine the emotional impact of that moment. The instant someone realizes that Sophie Beckett is not an illegitimate servant, not a nameless maid, but the legitimate daughter of an earl, a woman who was robbed of her birthright, a woman who should have grown up in privilege, not servitude. The injustice of it becomes impossible to ignore. The trailer hints at a confrontation brewing, a gathering where tension fills the room. Faces that once looked down on Sophie now look uncertain. Lady Araminta, who once stood confidently at the center of every scene, suddenly appears cornered. Her composure is cracking. The calm smile she wore earlier is gone, replaced with something far more fragile. This is the moment she never planned for, because her entire strategy depended on Sophie remaining powerless, on Sophie believing she had no voice, on the Ton believing that status equals truth. But once evidence enters the picture, once proof of Sophie's lineage surfaces, Lady Araminta's authority begins to collapse. And the most satisfying part is knowing that she caused this downfall herself. If she had left Sophie alone, if she had not tried to destroy her completely, perhaps the secret would have stayed buried longer. But her greed pushed too far. And in the center of this storm stands Benedict. The trailer shows him differently now. Not confused, not hesitant, focused, determined. There is fire in his eyes that was not there before. This is no longer about guilt, it is about justice. He understands now that Sophie was not asking for something impossible. She was asking for dignity, for equality, for love without shame. And the realization hits him harder than anything else. He offered her a life in the shadows when she deserved to stand beside him in the light. That understanding transforms him, because redemption is not simply apologizing. Redemption is action. It is standing in front of the world and saying, "I was wrong." It is challenging the system that shaped you. And the trailer strongly suggests that Benedict is ready to do exactly that. We see what looks like a powerful exchange between him and Lady Araminta. The tension is electric. For the first time, he is not speaking carefully. He is not being polite. He is confronting her, questioning her accusations, demanding answers, and you can see the shift in power happening in real time. The man she once thought she could manipulate is no longer under her control. But the emotional heart of Section 3 is Sophie herself. Because while the truth is rising around her, she is still carrying years of doubt inside. Even if the evidence proves her lineage, she has spent her entire life being told she is unworthy. That kind of damage does not disappear overnight. So when the moment of revelation comes, it will not just be about public validation. It will be about internal healing. The trailer hints at a scene where Sophie stands taller, where her expression changes from fear to quiet strength. And that transformation is everything, not because she suddenly becomes powerful, but because she finally sees herself clearly. Not as Lady Araminta defined her, not as society labeled her, but as who she truly is. Sophie Beckett, daughter of the Earl of Penwood, a woman who survived cruelty without losing her kindness, a woman who walked away from a love that diminished her even when it broke her heart. And now, the truth is about to set her free, but freedom comes with consequences, because once the Ton realizes what has been hidden, there will be outrage, there will be scandal, there will be whispers spreading faster than ever before. Lady Araminta's reputation will shatter, her daughters will be caught in the fallout, and Benedict will have one final decision to make. Will he love Sophie because she is noble, or will he love her because she is Sophie? And now we arrive at the final section of this trailer, the part that does not just promise resolution, but transformation. Because what Bridgerton Season 4 Part 2 is building toward is not simply the exposure of a secret, it is the complete rebirth of two people who had to lose everything to understand what truly matters. The trailer makes it clear that once Sophie's identity is revealed, the Ton will never be the same. The whispers will spread like wildfire. The daughter of an earl forced to live as a servant, a noblewoman framed and thrown into prison, a stepmother who manipulated the system for her own gain. This is not small gossip, this is scandal at the highest level. And in Bridgerton, scandal is power. But the most powerful shift is not happening in society. It is happening in Benedict. Because now he sees the full picture. He sees the pain Sophie carried quietly. He sees the injustice she endured. And most importantly, he sees his own failure clearly. He understands that when she needed him to stand beside her as an equal, he hesitated. He tried to find a safe solution instead of a brave one. And that realization changes him completely. The trailer hints at a moment between them that feels softer, but far more intense than anything we have seen before. The tension is still there, but it is different now. It is no longer built on misunderstanding, it is built on truth. Benedict is no longer looking at Sophie as someone he must protect from society. He is looking at her as someone he must stand with against it. And this is where his redemption reaches its peak. Because choosing Sophie now is not about convenience. It is not about guilt. It is not about her title. It is about defiance. It is about saying that love is worth more than reputation, that dignity is worth more than tradition, that the rules of the Ton are not sacred if they are built on injustice. If he publicly claims her, if he offers her marriage openly and without hesitation, he is not just choosing a wife. He is challenging a system. He is risking criticism, whispers, and judgment. And the trailer suggests that he is finally ready to do exactly that. But what makes this even more emotional is Sophie's reaction. Because for her, this is not just a happy ending waiting to happen. She has been hurt deeply, and forgiveness is not automatic. The trailer hints that she is still guarded, still processing everything that has happened, and that makes their potential reunion even more powerful. If she accepts him, it will not be because she needs saving. It will be because he has proven that he sees her fully, not as a servant, not as a noble, not as a scandal, but as his equal. And that is the heart of this story. Lady Araminta's downfall, which the trailer teases in brief but satisfying flashes, feels inevitable now. The woman who once controlled every narrative is losing her grip. Her carefully constructed lies are unraveling in front of the very society she tried to impress. The same Ton she relied on to silence Sophie is now turning its scrutiny toward her. And in Bridgerton, losing social standing is worse than losing wealth. It is humiliation. It is exile. It is the destruction of legacy. Her daughters, who were once positioned as strategic players in her plan, now seem uncertain, almost frightened. The future she tried to secure for them is collapsing, and it is a powerful reminder that manipulation always comes at a cost. But beyond the scandal and confrontation, the trailer leaves us with something deeper, a sense that this season is about identity, about reclaiming what was stolen, about realizing that worth is not defined by birth, status, or approval from society. Sophie's journey is not just about discovering she is the daughter of an earl. It is about discovering that she has always been worthy of respect. Even when no one else acknowledged it, her strength was never in her title. It was in her refusal to accept less than she deserved. And Benedict's journey is not just about falling in love. It is about growing up, about recognizing privilege, about choosing courage over comfort. His redemption is meaningful because it requires sacrifice. It requires him to unlearn everything he was taught about hierarchy and honor. The final moments of the trailer feel almost poetic. There is a sense of calm after chaos, of clarity after confusion, but it is not a simple fairy tale ending. It feels earned, hard-fought, emotional. And that is what makes this part 2 so thrilling, because this is not just a romance, it is a reckoning. Sophie's secret does not just expose a lie, it exposes the cracks in an entire system. And Benedict's redemption is not just about winning her back. It is about becoming the man she believed he could be. If the trailer is any indication, Bridgerton Season 4 Part 2 is about to deliver heartbreak, justice, scandal, and a love story that rises from the ashes stronger than ever. And when the truth